Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast battle report. Today we're playing 1500 points of Space Marines versus 1500 points of Dark Eldar and Coven, practicing for the Path to Glory tournament in Barrie, Ontario, Canada. We're playing Scenario 3 of the mission pack, which is Relic. So there's 3 relics on the table and they have to be captured at the end of the game. It's kill points in secondary. And it's Matt on the channel once again. We're going to have some fun. Let's stay tuned for the army's deployment. Make sure you check the links below. Let's begin. The battle lines are drawn. The Dark Eldar chose to go second and deploy second. So the Space Marines have deployed a Spartan full of assault centurions. With Tigerius and a chaplain in a Spartan assault tank. So they're on the table there. Very nasty army. But Tiggy did not get endurance, which is what he wanted on Biomancy. Then he's infiltrated 2 units of scouts, 1 little unit down here, and 1 little unit behind here. They infiltrated. And I have put a meager force, 1 unit of grotesques from the grotesquerie, another unit of grotesques from the grotesquerie with my warlord Homunculus, and 2 units of raiders with Cabalite warriors with blasters inside them, 5 man strong. The rest of my army is in reserve. If you want to see the full armies, go to the links below and check them out on the Patreon page where they're all laid out so you can see cool little tidbits, tricks, and stuff like that. And of course, the patrons got an exclusive pre-game video of the armies and tactics. Other than that, it is not Night Fight turn 1. The Space Marines do have the first turn unless the Dark Eldar decides to seize. That's the 6 right there. That's right.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
And they do not seize.
You get rerolls though, right?
No, I don't. I didn't roll that one. I did actually get that warlord trait. Okay, and we're moving on to Space Marines. Turn 1. The Spartan has readjusted its position and opened fire, forcing this raider into jinking, causing a hull point and only stunning it. And then the other quad las cannon has exploded this raider for first strike, and the Cabalite warriors lost 2 of their number, and they are not pinned. So moving on to the first Dark Eldar turn, and the Space Marines have started the game with a blast. The 1 lance shot fired and failed to penetrate the Spartan assault tank, while these grotesques with the warlord have boosted up and started flanking the position. The Cabalite warriors have moved deep into cover, while this raider is trying to sort itself out. So we're moving on to turn 2. We have 1 reserve roll to make. Tigerius allows rerolls for reserves here, and it's for the Stormwing. So Storm, Raven, and 2 Storm Talons, and they are arriving. The Spartans stayed back, opened fire and destroyed that raider, and then did not destroy that raider, splitting fire with its last cannons, but all the guys have gotten out onto the objectives. Then this Stormwing fired together with the scouts into that raider, did wreck it. 2 of the grotesques died with combined shooting, despite having a 4+ feel no pain on their table of the grotesques. So now we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 2. And I have a fair amount of reserves to try and bring onto the table. So, we have a unit of Scourge with Heat Lances. It does not arrive. A unit of Scourge with Haywires. It arrives. We have a Venom filled with Cabalite Warriors. It arrives. And a Venom filled with nothing. It does not arrive. We have 2 Ravagers with 3 Lances each. 1 arrives. And then we have 1 Raider with Cabalite Warriors, and 1 Raider with a Lamian. Awesome. The Dark Eldar opening gambit saw the Scourge with 4 Haywire blasters land in front of the Spartan, and 4 Haywires led to 4 hull points and an immobilized result, which was the perfect result for me. Then this Ravager finished the job, putting 1 last glancing hit on the Spartan, forcing the Centurions to disembark, far from the main fighting force. These grotesques grabbed the relic and pulled back, And these Campbellite warriors grabbed the relic and pulled it back into the ruin, while the rest of the reserves arrived. A combination of shooting from disintegrator cannons killed one of the Storm Talons with some really good rolls on 6s to hit and then 6s to penetrate the armor, while my Warlord and his Grotesque charged into the scouts, killed 4 of them, and that last one held in combat, which means he can't shoot my Grotesques, which is a good result for me as well. So we're moving on to the 3rd Space Marine turn. Bye bye, ye faithful Scourge. It has been nice knowing you.
It's going to be awesome as if they survive.
I highly doubt it. That guy there shot into here, 2 hull points. And then the Ravager took some firepower at his jinking, but took 1 hull point and lost 1 of its lances. Meanwhile, unsurprisingly, the Scourge got mauled. They died a horrible, hideous death. To shooting. And then the Grotesque unit killed the last little scout, and they've consolidated behind line of sight blocking terrain. Okay, so Dark Eldar turn 3. And we still have some reserves to arrive. So we have the Scourge with Heat Lances, deep striking. They arrive. We have the Venom with empty. Arrives, and the last of the Ravagers does not arrive. He's waiting to make a glorious entrance on turn 4. Eldar reserves arrived. I've pulled back with the relics a little further. Shooting saw the Storm Talon forced into jinking, and the Storm Raven didn't jink, but almost. There's a couple of close calls there with some snapshots that hit but failed to penetrate. And I did put 1 wound on a Centurion with Venom firepower. So we're moving on to turn 4 for the Centurion start. The Storm Raven had to go into hover mode and put another hull point and stunned this Ravager, while this Storm Talon, they're trying to take care of my anti-tank, but they were unable to kill it. It did jink, but it just can't move next turn. And I did lose 1 Campbellite warrior in this unit, thanks to the Hurricane Bolter on the sponson there, while the Tiggy has iron-armed himself. The wounded Centurion is at the back of the unit, and they are just moving up in slow and purposeful mode. And I have a Ravager to come in on turn 4. The reserves came in, kind of maneuvered around. I was unable to do anything to this Storm Talon. It is now fine. And I did force the Storm Raven into jinking, but failed to do any damage with about 8 lances. It's been the opposite. Venom shooting and disintegrators did kill the chaplain that was at the front of the unit, and I did kill 1 more Centurion. They need a morale test, and they hold. And now moving on to turn 5 for the Space Marines. The Centurions moved up. The 2 tanks remained in. This one went into hover. That one remained in hover. Failed to kill the Ravager that I did jink to save, and then that Ravager is fine. I did lose 1 Campbellite warrior here, 3 Campbellite warriors and an exploding Raider. So another kill point to the Space Marines, bringing the total 6 to 4, I believe. So he's winning by 2 kill points at the moment. And we're moving on to turn 5. He has 1 relic in the backfield, and I do control 2 primary relics here. So let's see what happens. I forced both of the flyers into jinking, put 1 hull point on the Storm Raven and Talon, and I didn't do any wounds onto the Centurions. Okay, other than that, it could be the end of the game. Matt, would you like to roll, sir?
Sure.
And it continues on to a fateful turn 6. Did some shooting here. Forced my Ravager into jinking, and did kill 1 unit of Campbellite warriors. So it's 7 kill points to 4 kill points. And right now, Matt does have last laugh if the game continues, which is kill the last unit of the game. He's also got Line Breaker with his Storm Talon. So moving on to Dark Eldar, turn 6. Could be the end of the game. So, circle the wagons. I completely forgot that the Melter doesn't work against Ceramite, so I sacrificed my Scourge for no reason. The Grotesque made a nice charge and ripped open the Storm Talon, while the Disintegrator with the Warlord in the back killed one of the scouts, forcing them to go to ground in the back corner. All in all, I do control 2 objectives, and the kill point is now 7 to 5.
1, 2, 3.
Because I did kill
Yes.
one more unit. I did kill one more Centurion with firepower. And we will see if the game continues to a fateful and final turn 7. It does go on to another turn. Storm Raven snapshot into this Venom and tried to kill it and did not. And then these guys tried to snapshoot into, force that into jinking and did not kill it. They're going to try and make it into combat. They needed an extra 2. With a 12, they would have made it into combat with the Raider.
You can epic, I can epic.
And there we go. Now we're moving on to fateful and final turn 7. And it is the end of the game. So the game finished after an epic turn 7. I was unable to kill the Storm Raven, and I did kill 2 more of the Centurions, but Tigerius did not fail the leadership test to run off the table, which means that it is a primary victory for the Dark Eldar, having the 2 relics that were down here. The 1 relic that was back there was in Space Marine control. Secondary points, the Space Marines had 2 points difference, so they got 2 points for secondary out of a possible 8. And then in tertiary, I had Linebreaker. I had killed the most expensive unit that was killed in the form of the Spartan tank. And I also got, we didn't get first strike. No, there wasn't first strike. Linebreaker, Warlord was 1, and then something else. All in all, thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay tuned for the Tactical Corner, where we talk about the game and things that happened as well. This has been Skari. Check us out on Patreon if you'd like to support the channel financially for me to create more varying, fun content for you guys. And I hope you enjoyed this Dark Eldar versus Space Marine battle report. Until next time, this is Skari, your grateful host, out. Hello and welcome to another Tactical Corner. 1500 points of Space Marines versus 1500 points of Dark Eldar with Coven allies. This game was testing a Path to Glory mission where there's 3 relic style objectives on the board, and there's secondary kill points as well as some tertiary objectives. I was really looking forward to testing out a pure MSU Dark Eldar force. It's been an interesting journey, as I've been using a lot of allies of late to go back to my roots on the channel and play a straight up Dark Eldar force. In the fluff, the Dark Eldar always fight as a swarm of locusts, with them having little regard for the life of their comrades. So it was nice to have just a whole bunch of vehicles and infantry and tanks and not really care about their death and destruction. Now, that does mean that playing a kill point style mission is rather hard, and in this tournament series, kill points are part of every mission. So it's sort of a devil's advocate sort of thing, because it's very powerful for objective taking and other mission types, but suffers greatly from the kill point aspect, forcing me to play a little bit differently than I would normally in, say, a Maelstrom of War, where you can simply throw units into the Maelstrom. No pun intended. So I was playing Matt and his Death Star army, and I feel like this whole game hinged on Matt deploying his Spartan right in the back corner of his deployment zone. And once I was able to kill it, it just stranded his entire army, his large unit of Centurions, in his back corner, with me being able to get control of both of the objectives and just slowly pull them even further into my lines, which meant that
he was never going to get there, even with the flyers. All in all, this was a representation of playing to the mission and being out of position against a very fast foe, and something you should take care of when playing. Also, stay tuned in the channel. The Talan will be coming up soon, and support the Patreon page for some exclusive content. All the links are down below. Thanks.